Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's session, we're going to step through C-Lurn. Just want to make sure, can everybody see my screen?
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
I can see a screen that says Business Synergy on the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, that's our development. That's a development server. That's awesome. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so tonight's session is about our C-Lurn product. Now, C-Lurn is more commonly known as our learner management or learning management system. From the standard information that's out there and which were available to you, you should know that our C-Lurn product is a multi-training provider tenancy. It's a multi-campus and location. You can do a program, course, and module. You've got scheduling groups. You've got automatic scheduling, aptitude capturing and selection, work readiness, sales pipeline, our workflow engine, a task management engine. There's various payment integrations. We've got automated reporting, template builders where you can create your own templates, a dedicated client portal, dedicated learner portal, self-enrollment capabilities for learners as well as for clients, external communication integrations with regards to SMS and email. You've got in-app communication capabilities. The whole system is coach-driven. You've got a multi-level security component in there, allowing you to enforce security on a granular level. You've got the ability to add BE consultants and link them to contracts. You can look at validity of accreditation for your training resources or any resource for that matter. You can look at the training resource, CETA and unit standard linking, and so much more. But not seeing the system, you won't really know how to relate to the system itself. These are just words and they don't mean anything to you. The practical sense is lost in translation, if we can call it that. So I'm quickly going to step through this. It's just going to be a bird's eye view for now. As the full training, if we do full system training, then the LMS training alone is about 5 days to actually go in depth into what is available and how to use it. So let's quickly start. Okay, from the start go. That area you'll see if I was already logged in and my session timed out, then you'll see that red little thingy there. We start out your landing page. This is called a landing page. It gives you a dashboard. It tells you the total, the amount of learners you have. In your C-Lurn is a classroom-driven based application. So the whole idea behind C-Lurn is for classroom learning and the management of classroom learning. So from the dashboard, you can see the number of learners that's currently available in the system, the number of programs which you've set up, the number of courses, and the number of modules. You can see your tasks, your task management, how much incomplete tasks, how many incomplete tasks you have, how many of them have already been escalated. The system allows for automatic escalation as well. And if you can also assign tasks to a department instead of a person, so that anybody in the department can basically step up and work through the various tasks available. And how many of those tasks were escalated as well. You can also see your currently active contracts on the same screen. All the currently scheduled modules, your tasks that's due today, your tasks that have been escalated, as well as with the standard where you can filter and go through your tasks. All of your tiles is clickable, so it directly takes you to the session, to the specific section, to make it easier to navigate as well. So on the left-hand side, this is our development server. So you'll actually see a lot more options in here than would standardly be available to the normal person out there. But I will show you what a normal person will see, a normal back office user, and then a normal client and a normal learner as well. Okay, so if you can start from the base there, we've got segments in there. So profile details is all the entities, we call it entities in the system. So an entity is something which basically stands alone or can stand alone on their own. So you've got contracts, we've got a sales pipeline, we've got your learners, your clients, your BEE consultants, your training resources, and a training provider. So multi-tenancy means that under training provider, we can add multiple training providers to this list. And as soon as you log in, you will only see what is applicable to you as a training provider. So a training provider, so for instance, if we have 3 different training companies, we can host the 3 different training companies within our system. Each one have its own look and feel. Each one have their own landing page. Each one can only see what is applicable to them, their own contracts, their own learners, their own scheduled modules. So we can, through that, on the same system, host multiple companies, but with certain similarities that is available to share between all. So, but that we can set up through security. So if you look at your training provider details, all of your standard details are in there. The standard name for your training provider, the name that you enter here is also shown in the bottom there as part of all with your copyright information, all of that. So it automatically pulls it in. You can add your CITA where you were accredited by or linked to, and then the CITA ID which you received. We can also add a renewal date in there as well, your address details, and if it is the same, you basically just have your tick box there. If not the same, you open that up and it takes you to a separate postal and physical address. This same functionality with regards to your address is available on all entities. So if you add an address to a client, to a learner, to a BE consultant, to a training resource, it all uses the same functionality. In the system itself, you'll see that we've got drop-down lists everywhere. The drop-down lists are completely codes-driven, so you can set that up and change it in the codes itself, and it will automatically change all of the screen, all of the reporting, everything behind that. So if you need to add anything, it's completely codes-driven, and every training provider or back office user has the ability to add their own alter or update if we've granted them permission for that. But this ensures that on our reporting side, we can be as accurate as possible. If you just take address details, for instance, the various spelling mistakes people make in your address details and the way that affects your reporting is huge. And in order to have successful, reliable reporting, we've added as much codes-driven ability in the system to ensure that we can get an as accurate as possible option and solution out there. I'll show you how the codes work in a little bit later, but you can also add your email address details, next of kin website addresses. If you've got an external terms and condition, you can add that. If it's integrated with the LCM, with the M-Learn or E-Learn system, you can actually, for each training provider, specify their own cohort ID, which means that the linking itself directly to E-Learn and M-Learn is based only on what is available to this specific training provider. So we can host, through this, we can also separate in the back end our E-Learn portion and M-Learn portion directly from here without having to set up anything in addition to that. You also have the ability to specify your own URL. So if you need a different URL address or custom URL address, we can add it in there. And you can, that way we can add a complete authenticity to every system that we actually roll out. So we also have payments and various allowances made. So you can add your transaction types in there, and you can add your products. Now, for instance, on this, we've added an admin fee and a monthly subscription fee. This is for access directly to E-Learn, so that you can set up directly on the training provider. And you can also add it that you have to, for instance, complete your profile, and that your profile completeness needs to be at least 80%, for instance, before you are allowed to see the rest of the system. So this is a rule set which governs your access. So for this, we've added an admin fee where your admin fee has to be paid, as well as your monthly subscription has to be paid in order for you to maintain your access to the system itself. This is completely optional, but it just shows you some of the abilities that is available. So this is where you set it up in activation details. And if it's only a once-off, if it's active, and if it's recurring, you can set it up in there. Each training provider can also update and change all of their styles and logos and graphics directly from the back office. So if they do have a new background that they want to introduce, or they do want a new logo, they can directly on the fly change it, and it will be affected directly on that. So that's where your settings and your style comes in. So from this, you can change your login image, your background image, your main image, all available directly for everybody to change, alter, and to personalize their own system. So that is the training provider. If you look at a training resource itself, training resource, if you look at a training resource, it gives you all of the standard details, identification number, passport number, contract preferences, the user ID linked to that training resource. The reason why we've got a user ID linked to that training resource, a training resource has their own security and ability as well. So if you are a training resource and you log into the system, you will, for instance, only see the automated attendance registers based on the individual classes that you are currently facilitating or moderating or assessing, depending on which level of security you have. But you will not see any of the other, which make it easier for navigation and more accurate, easier, and faster to do that. Also, same with address details, contact details. But what is additional here is the modules that you have been accredited for to be able to train on that. And if this is not completed, or you can see you can assess and moderate and train on that. And it also has an additional feature where you can actually add your date on the CITA you received your accreditation for in there. And if it's past your renewal date, you will not be able to be linked to any class to be assigned as either facilitator, assessor, or moderator if your accreditation is not currently active still with the various CITAs. So here you can add your CITAs as well. The type you have, whether it's assessor, facilitator, or moderator, or all of them, your registration number, and then the renewal date for that. So that's also an easy way for us to ensure that the training resources itself is actually accredited and everything is in line in order to be able to do your training successfully. You can also add attachments to any of the entities. So depending on the type of attachment that you want to add, that you can also define yourself. In the codes table, as you can see, it's a drop down. You specify which attachment you want, and if you need to add more, you can add that in codes. Add the file, and you should add a comment to that, and that will be available for you. We also have a quick preview. So in any attachment field, you can have a quick preview as well, which will actually generate and show the document if it's still live. This is our dev service, so if it doesn't show, we know it's been overridden. But you can have your quick view there, you can download it, or you can delete it as well if you need to update it. On a BEE consultant, most of your clients have a BEE consultant. That BEE consultant is very important for a training provider because depending on the number of clients you have, that is a key contact for you for new business as well and for referrals. But through this, you can also allow a BEE consultant, they view directly on the current client contracts that is available. You'll see on the contracts itself, the number of learners based on the various genders and all of that, but we'll get to that now. Your client details. You can set up all of your client details in here. It also includes the address details, company name, registration names, UIF numbers, your skills levy number, basically all the information you need, your SIC codes. If there is a BEE consultant that's linked to it, your address details, and other pertinent contact information. As soon as a client is set up, and once a client is set up, you can also add additional information. If you look under extended details, where you can see all of their linked contracts. If you currently have new sales that's linked to them, as you can see, this one has a new sale that's linked to it. You've got action buttons where you can easily directly open it and see what it is for. And in addition to your extended details, add your attachments and specific notes. You can also add various contacts. So if you have multiple contacts for each specific client, for instance, one which is just a sales contact, the other one's a creditors, a debitors, depending on your need, you can add their details in there and also their contact details. Just go back there. I won't do it again. And all of their contact details you can also add in there. As soon as you create a note then on a client, so if you want to go and create a note, the note can then also be linked standard just to your note section here or directly to a specific contact or on a contact itself. So if you open a specific contact, you can add a note against that contact as well, or against a contract, or against a specific sales lead that you may have. But everything is displayed and showed then under your client, which also makes it easier if you look at a CRM point of view to have all of that information on a single place as soon as you contact the client in. The learner, my apologies. The learners, standard learning information. So you can add all of your standard learning information there, which includes the standard nationality, citizenship, ID numbers, your passport numbers, employment status, stipends, who's going to be available for these stipends, the current status, whether they're funded or not, if they are a yes candidate or not, their banking details, their address details, standard contact information, if they've got a disability, their race, contact preferences, their general and further education information, so their complete history of where they were, and you can add that and save it directly. That is also available as part of a learner profile. When you log into the learner portal, to allow them to update that themselves, we can also add settings in there to ensure that they should update it, for instance, once a quarter or once a month, or that all depends on what they want. There can be a lot of learners that's loaded. Some of our systems already has more than 6,000 learners loaded on them. So it's easy as a learner is actually progressing to just filter it based on their current status, that you only see the required learners on there. On the left-hand side of all of our list screens, you'll see an action column. The action column allows you standard functionality, which is easier instead of having to go into a learner first and then looking at it. So for instance, on this, you can have your edit. If you want to edit or maintain a current learner, you can look at his payment history. You can look at performance history and all of that. and you can also delete a learner from there. A learner is never really deleted, so we do keep a full history of that learner in the system. So even though you delete it, if that specific learner had any activity in the system, that is still available, as it is a legal requirement to have that available as well. On the sales pipeline, a sales pipeline is a pre-contract edition. So as soon as you get to a client and you want to lodge a specific new contract or possibility that is available, you add a new sales lead. If you look at your standard sales leads, that is where you've got your client, it's specified against the client, your envisioned start and end date, who the salesperson was, a description for it, the contact specifically for this sales lead, the envisioned contract end date, the campus that it was assigned to, the value per learner, the total contract value, and then you can also add your references as you go through. The date that your SLA was actually sent, your date and time, your fixed term contract, when that was sent, the quote, the initial invoice, when you received your signed SLA, your signed fixed term contract, your signed quote, and the initial invoice if that was paid. And then we can also set up a rule segment on this, where depending on what has been added here, it automatically moves over to an active contract. You can also add your learner allocation in here. So if you look at ethnicity, we need 3 abled or 4 abled, 2 disabled Caucasians. On females, we need 4 colored or 5 colored abled females and 10 disabled Indian females. And that is also then is pulled through to the contract itself. And then we can actually do a measurement from what the original needs were as to what the current contract allocation is. So as you remove learners from a contract or add them to a contract, that is then automatically updated as well. But this cannot be changed as soon as a sales pipeline has moved over to a contract. So if we go then to a contract, which is the next step, you can add your standard contract in there with all the relevant information. If you look at the current contracts itself, you'll see you've got your standard contract details in there, the start date and end date, the learner count, the existing learner count, the campus that the contract was added to, and a description for the contract itself. This is your original learner allocation. This is how we set it up as part of a sales pipeline. And this is the currently allocated learners. As you can see, we only have 3 Caucasian abled learners currently linked to this contract. We also have a download button here, specifically for your clients itself. If they want to download either for yourself or your clients, it's available on the client portal as well. They can download all the information, all the attachments, all the learner information, all the contract information directly from this single button. And that will create a zip file for you containing all of the relevant information, all of the attachments, everything related to this specific contract. So your learner allocations, you want to look at your learners. These are the learners that's currently there. We've added a quick view for your fixed term contract as well to see if each learner's fixed term contract has been allocated, and as well as your learner agreement, and if they are currently linked to a specific course. So we can add multiple learners doing multiple courses at multiple campuses on the same contract if that is a requirement. The system is very flexible. The system is very flexible and allows you to do a multi-campus, multi-program or course, and is very, very, very scalable in that. If you want to add a new learner, there's various filterable criteria that you can use. So you can filter specifically on a learner number, the name, surname, ID number, or a disability age grouping. Age groupings are very important as well. So we've added the various age groupings in there, specific genders, and then we've got to comply with program requirements. So based on a specific program which is set up, which is the learning path or learning route, we can add specific criteria, and that will allow to display only learners which are compliant to the prerequisites for that specific program, which makes it unbelievably easy in your selection process to filter through them. You can also look at various your ethnicity in there, and then your employment status in there as well. This will update all of these, from which you can then just add them. Duplicate, sorry, that's already a detected one. If there's any error in the system, the error with the reason is actually displayed for you on top as well. Okay, that's the standard profiles, standard overview. Venues, we can also do a multiple venue, allowing you to add multiple campuses, multiple buildings, and multiple classrooms. Classrooms are linked to buildings, and buildings are linked to campuses. So you can expand from a small one-man training provider up to a university level, if you need be, in various provinces or countries. We can accommodate for that as well. On a classroom, when you specify a classroom, you can also add the capacity. So when you make your bookings, all of the contracts linked to a specific program scheduled for this classroom will not exceed the capacity. Otherwise, you will get an error to say that you have exceeded the capacity of the classroom and you need to select a different one. But like you can see here, a classroom has a capacity, it's linked to a campus, and it's linked to a building with its own classroom name and number in that. So that is basically the venue details. Curriculum, we also work on a 3-phase curriculum. So we've got a program, and we've got a course, and we've got a module. So on the training industry, it's more like a unit standard. You take it from a unit standard up to, I can't remember what the other two is, but there's a different naming for that, but it's the same. It's a 3-phase approach that you can do that. If you look at the modules, on the modules itself, you can specify the number of credits, NQF level, the module name, the module ID, and in addition to that, you can also add your accreditation number to that, and whether it is a core, a fundamental, or an elective. In addition to that, you can also add it as a graded item as well. So that will reflect as soon as all of your book clauses have been added to that, and you said that it is a graded item, and you needed at least 80% attendance in order to complete that, in addition to your standard grading. That will then be taken into account from here as well. A module forms part of a course, so when you create a course, your courses itself, if you look at a standard course, it gives you a course ID, course name, the NQF, the total credits, and then the modules that are actually linked, making up this course. You can also add your gradings for specific course on there. So the grade category is the type. You can do assessments, exams, your formal, informal, depending on how you want to do it, you can add it in there. And then also, if you look at the total grade percentage, what the grade percentage of the total grade will be. And these are the modules that are currently linked as well. So it's just an easy way to display, but it's also shown there. As you can see, 254 test module and 254 and ISY 103, it's all linked there as well, which just make it easier and more visible. Courses then roll up or can roll up into programs, but a course can also be standalone. So you can assign a learner to either just a course or to a program which consists of multiple courses as well. So a program itself, you look at a program, Standard, the program ID you have, the program name, the NQF level, the learning program number for the specific program, the total amount of credits, and then the minimum and maximum credit, or the minimum credit that you require in order to complete this program. You can also add your accreditation number in there, link the courses to all of those, and then also indicate whether it's a learnership or not as part of that. As you can see, this specific one, I have 4 courses added to that, and then the courses consists of modules. Through this, you can build your whole curriculum and a full curriculum for each of those. Then in addition to that, we can also add aptitudes. So depending on the aptitude, we can link and add specific aptitudes, which is predefined in the system itself. For instance, you need a mathematical literacy of 50 in order to have the ability to be enrolled in this. So as part of your learner setup, they will then have to complete the aptitude test as well, and that aptitude will then allow them or disallow them on a specific program automatically as well. Okay, that's a program. Now, to schedule all of this takes a lot of effort. So we've tried in the system to make it as easy as possible. So we've added course groupings. The course grouping allows you to take a specific course and schedule it multiple times for multiple occurrences based on various date formats. So as you can see, the begin and end date differs from the year. And due to that, you can have the same program or the same course running in the same campus across various venues, across various contracts, across various timeframes. So for instance, if you've got a fast-tracked MBA instead of doing a full MBA, so you've got a 3-month MBA instead of a year MBA, the system can allow for that as well, and to have multiples of the same curriculum being forced in a shorter period or a longer period of time, or a different period of time. So that is the whole idea of a course grouping. So when you go to your scheduling, you can basically just decide what the course grouping is that you want to assign a specific contract or specific learner to. We also added scheduling templates. Scheduling templates allows you to specify a curriculum or a course and how you want to schedule that automatically. So as soon as you've set up a schedule, I'm just going to show you one quickly here. As soon as you set up a schedule, you've got your standard course that's linked to it and name, that's easy. If you have a full day course in there, instead of having 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour lessons, you can directly add it as a full day schedule as well, which means each of these courses will be scheduled for a full day. If it's not, it actually takes your hours and minutes and does the scheduling for you based on that, based on your specification on that. So you can add your courses, that shows your courses. It automatically adds your modules linked to all of those courses as well, and the sequencing that you want this specific module to be added in there. It also allows you to do multiple editions of the same module. So if you have multiple editions of the same module, you can add that as well. If you look at time management, for instance, here at the bottom. This then forms a template. So whenever you want to do your scheduling, you can take this schedule, use it to say, I want the test schedule to be automatically scheduled from this date to that date. And that will actually take all of the times that you specified here and schedule it according to the schedule which you provide. So if you want classes to be just on Tuesdays and on Thursdays starting at 3 in the afternoon till 5, so that is the one schedule. Or the other one is you want Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, full days. Then you can just add it there, and that will automatically take all of your courses and all of your modules and schedule all of that accordingly for you. Also, in addition to the scheduling templates, what happens is we've got a year planner. The year planner allows you to set specific dates for specific periods where no scheduling can occur in. So any schedule that you want to do, which is conflicting of this, can be either mandatory, so you're not allowed to schedule at all, or it will just give you an information to say, this is on a non-scheduled day, depending on how you set it up. So that is the year planner portion. It allows you to blank out certain dates. For instance, weekends, public holidays. If you look at specific holiday periods, as a training provider, you can block that out then as well, and your scheduling will take that into account and automatically schedule accordingly. My apologies. So from there on, the attendance registers are then automatically populated as well. You can filter them and view them. I just want to get an older date here that we've got a bit more play to show you the attendance registers. These are automatically generated based on the scheduling, based on all of the other factors together. This automatically generates your attendance register for you, which is then very easy to actually go and update, where you can see all of the learner details and you can actually mark them active, or you can mark them as being present or not present. And if there is a grading associated, add that. You can also add your grading notes in there and your attendance notes. That is per learner, or if you want to give it for the specific module or the day, general notes for the class, you can add the notes in there as well. What we've also added is the ability to select your own columns, because there's such a lot of information, so much information displayed that you might want to see. You can customize this screen for yourself and your facilitators to only show what they need to see and what they want to see based on that. If the specific learner is linked to a specific contract as well, we also give a concatenated client/contract link here as well. Okay, so that is the attendance register. If a learner fails or need to redo a specific attendance register, or somebody that's not compliant or not yet competent, you can add them to a remedial section as well. You can add them to a remedial section as well. And after they've done the remedial, it shows you the infringement date, so it still keeps it all on record. But as soon as you've completed the remedial portion, then you are automatically then marked competent for that specific, or marked as present on the attendance register associated with the remedial action required on that. So that is basically the curriculum and the standard information that is available there. So on the other, we've got tasks, so we can do a full task management system as well. Like we said previously, you can assign it just to a department, to a specific user, to a client, to a specific learner. You can add your task management in here, and we can also automate specific tasks. So if we have a workflow process, the workflow process will also automatically generate tasks for you and escalate tasks that have passed their due date on that, to ensure that you can automate any process within a system. Where this is applicable is if you have specific setup processes where you need to be compliant to, this can assist you to actually set up that process as well to be compliant. Or if you've got internal processes within your company that you need everybody to conform to, that can be set up as a workflow as well. I'll show you the workflow portion now. But on this tasks, if you add a task, on the task itself, you can give a task name, specify the department, specify the user it needs to go to, or if it's just as a standard department, you just say not assigned, and it will go out as standard department task. If there is a specific client that this task needs to be assigned to, you can add it here. If not, you can just select it as unspecified. add your due date, escalation date, your descriptions, and you can also directly add if the task was completed or not completed in there. We also have a full report server, which we can show in a separate session as well. And then on the standard, you can also access your e-learning directly from here. If we go to the system itself, we spoke about codes. This is where you set it up. Various types of codes, and you can basically just update or change the codes depending on what you need in there. The users is where the full security lies for all of your user accounts linked to this. You can also set up roles, and each user is then added to a specific role. A role then has specific access to specific system functions. System functions are defined there, so we can on a granular level set specific access to specific functions in the system based on the needs that is required for each of them. Templates is all of the communication going out. You can set up templates. So whether it's an email template, SMS, you can set it up here. And then if you need it to be scheduled, you can also schedule it directly from here, which will go into the workflow engine. Okay. That is basically the overview. There's a lot more detail that we have to go through, but that is just a quick overview of what the system can and can't do and how it looks if you look at it visually from that portion. So I'm going to open up your microphones now again, and then we can continue with the Q&A session. Okay, so thank you for bearing with me. It was an extensive quick overview, if we can call it that. So if you do have any questions, please.
I think it's a lot of information to grasp with. And you're right. It's a 5-day intervention, to actually master this. But Butimela, it should be a cruise for you.
I was going to ask Dirk to go back to the bit where he started with multi-campus allocation and multi-level security and in-app comms.
Yeah, it's like true. Something very easy.
Okay, so everything I showed you is basically this slide.
There's only one word for it, Dirk, and that word is yes-like. This is real yes-like stuff.
We've tried to ensure that we can accommodate, whether it's a school, whether it's a university, whether it's a TVET college, whether it's a one-man training.
Yes.
We can accommodate for basically, and I almost want to say any scenario. If we can't yet accommodate it, we'll just add it in addition to what we already have. But we wanted to make sure that the system itself, because this is the core of training, and this had to be right, and it had to be extensive, and it had to be flexible, but correct, that we can do proper reporting from it.
So I think that the earlier comment that was made about the learning curve is quite important, and obviously when you get to the client level, there's going to be quite a learning curve for a typical client as well, whether they be a school, university, or just a training provider who's CETA registered, etc. So I guess, yeah, there's a very steep learning curve with a product like this.
Yes, it is, unfortunately or fortunately, unbelievably extensive. But what we have found is that because we've got the various roles,
yes,
for the normal person, if you are a facilitator and you log in as a facilitator, you're not aware and you don't see anything else because it is based on that specific need of that specific role or function in the company itself. And that makes it unbelievably easy to become productive and quick to become productive, because as a facilitator, you only have access to what you need as a facilitator. If you are an administrator, then of course you're going to need a lot more access and have a lot more abilities to assist the rest of the resources that use it. If you're on finance, you only see the finance portion. If you're on sales, you only see the sales portion. So because we can actually break it down per job title or per job type, granting access to only a specific functionality, that increases the learning curve for the end user tremendously.
Tell me, you have mentioned that this is, if I remember correctly, a fairly well-established product.
Yes.
If one is marketing it, is one able to reference sites where it's already happening? So let's take a straightforward example. Let's say that I was interested in marketing it to schools. Is there a base of existing users that one can say this school, that school, and the next school is using it, and possibly even, obviously with some prior arrangement, someone at that school who a client could talk to about it?
Although the product is extensively used in the market already, it is marketed under a different company name. Okay. So if we look at the C-Lurn product itself, the C-Lurn product, and this forming part of the Learn product suite that this forms part of is still quite new. So depending on, we can discuss it afterwards, myself and the other directors as well, to get their feeling and acknowledgement that we should open it up, and if we can open up the other client list that is available or not, but we'll agree that come back to you based on that.
No, that's good. I mean, I have a very, obviously everyone sees this thing differently. I have a fairly specific niche, which I'm quite straightforward about saying is UK schools that could use this product, and therefore I would be interested in existing UK schools that are using the product and people within those UK schools who a new client could talk to. So I've got a very specific niche in mind.
We don't currently yet have any UK schools that's in the system. What we can do is to take the standard UK curriculum and the way of work for the UK schools and implement that actually as part of a demo. So instead of having a reference, that you actually have a standard base that's based on a specific UK school.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, as I say, obviously, because it's such a broad-based product, there are a whole lot of potential niche markets, from the training service providers to universities to schools, and obviously many of these schools, for example, already have systems in place that they are using that one's going to have to compete with, as it were.
Yeah, but it's the biggest selling point. So at the end of it, you have to define your USPs.
Yes.
And if you look at the standard USPs that's not available on any of the other systems that we have evaluated. Now, we haven't evaluated all because there are, I believe, 800 odd learning management systems available. We are, due to our automatic scheduling, other systems can't do automatic scheduling based on specific groups. They can't do automatic pre-selection of learners based on specific criteria. And the reporting, we haven't covered the reporting. We'll take the reporting completely on, it's going to be a session on its own, the reporting portion of that. Okay. But the reporting portion allows us to automate and to generate and to create any report from the system as either once-off, automated, or directly available to a client from the back office.
Okay.
So the reporting and none of the other systems will allow you and can allow you to have everything integrated. So a single place where you can have your e-learning, mobile learning, your classroom-based learning, all of that integrated and reported from a central system. And that is the USP that this system has.
I mean, it's a stunning product. It's totally mind-blowing.
There's a lot. We stopped counting, I think, on 12,000 development hours on the system. We haven't kept track of the number of hours that we are currently still developing on the system, but it's very extensive.
Okay, I mean, it's an awesome product. I don't think there's any question about that. It's just there's obviously a fairly steep learning curve, and as you've said, it varies by level, which makes it a lot easier. But in terms of a client's overview, one obviously has to, without distracting from what you had to say, one has to make it a little bit more simple, because
Yes, definitely.
you might just lose them somewhere along the way.
Yeah, no, it's because it's so extensive, because it can basically do anything. As soon as we go into the workflow and the reporting, this system, for instance, if you look at your learner reporting, if you look at your student feedback from a parent's point of view, a parent has their own login details where they can see and get feedback on exactly what is going on currently in their child's education. Online, directly. Communication directly to your, currently the schools have separate apps where they communicate through and all of that. You don't need to do it. You can do it in a central place and I have all the history of that. If you look at your processes within a school, for instance, if you want to look at suspension of a learner or any of those, you can automate and set up the process itself with a workflow engine. And as you add, that automatically allows you to follow and to enforce that process.
Okay.
But it is unbelievably extensive. And that makes it a lot harder to sell because you're knowing exactly what to sell, because you can basically do anything, is the hardest part of the system.
I think you're quite right. Trying to find a niche and just market to that niche is probably as much as one could hope to do.
Yes.
And that's why your point about having access to information from the other system is important, because, for example, if I wanted to try and sell this to Hilton College here in the Midlands,
yes,
the first thing they're going to want to know is, well, where else is it being used, and you know, can we talk to someone?
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that
no, that's true. That is, but in most instances, what we found in our sales pitches, I usually go out and I have an introductory session, and all I ask in the introductory session as part of that is basically, what is your current biggest issues, concerns, or hurdles that you're currently facing?
Yeah.
And due to that, that gives me a direct know-how of what to focus on when I actually do the sales pitch, because it is just too extensive.
Yeah, no, I mean, the range of the product and the intricacies are, yeah, quite stunning.
Yeah, yeah. And if you, yeah, we'll cover that in one of the next sessions. But because we've added PAS as well, so you have the full HR portion, you have an unbelievably stunning and powerful either BI server or reporting server. You've got the mobile learning, you've got the e-learning portion, you've got the classroom-based. If you look at a corporate, for instance, and just the scheduling and maintaining of your standard corporate training. So whether it's client training, whether it's internal company training, inductions, all of that can all be done and handled from a single system. Right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I wasn't sure that. I see Shalom's gone and Freddie's gone. I was just checking to see. I think it's just you and me left now. You and me and one other.
Yeah, you and me.
Yeah, it's just the two of us left. Yeah, Dirk. Yeah, I think that's stunning, and yeah, I think part of it is going to be to try and find out, who the best target market is for this offering, and as you say, it's such a broad-ranging thing that maybe a company that wants to have its own corporate university or something like that is one way to go with the corporate sector. But it does seem to me that the schooling market, just the schools that I've had an involvement with, they're using Moodle and other platforms like that for the students to submit their assignments and to get their results back and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with what systems they're using to schedule facility use and things like that. I'm assuming there must be some competitive products out there that one is going to come across if you go into that space.
Yes, and if you want to go into the UK market, one of those is Schoology.
Yes.
And that is being used very extensive. And we actually have a comparison of Schoology against C-Lurn. So that can also help you a lot by knowing, having the comparison, the back-to-back comparison between the two systems.
Yeah. I think, as you say, it's just, for me, I think just the school thing is a kind of a sideline without being funny, purely because I have some connections into a couple of schools in the UK that some family members are involved with. So at the moment, for me, it's kind of a peripheral thing. My main focus really will be working with Sholem and people like Sholem around the PAS system and M-Learn and training needs assessments and all that kind of stuff. But I'm still interested in this, but probably the solution for me would be to find someone who was in a school that had